They change systems every year.
The fact that he came back from injury and benching to earn a starting job. I don't think his final chapter's been written.
Yeah, but he's not going to be with the 49ers.
No, it's not going to be the 49ers. He's
going to go back up to Ravens or something.
Well, look, if he's smart, I would take a chance on him in Miami, because if not, you got a good backup. And if you still have Cam Cameron there, you got a good offensive mind who can utilize.
We don't have Cam. He's in Baltimore.
I'm sorry.
He's in Baltimore.
If you got whoever you get for your offensive coordinator,
we need somebody.
Backing up Eli on the Giants would be interesting. I mean, there are places for him to be.
I think he's going to go a place where he most likely won't start, but they'll give him a shot. Yeah. They're not going to give him a shot underneath Eli, but they'll give him a shot somewhere that's a little more questionable.
Arizona or the most glaring place that needs a quarterback and has.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to start. I think Vince Young is going to go to Arizona.
Or Donovan McNabb. Yeah, I think Vince Young might go to Minnesota.
I also think the Niners could get somebody to tide them over this year, and then next year, Luck will be in the draft, although he'll go number 1 probably. Barkley will be in the draft.
Yep. Yeah.
There will be another.
Well, I like who Harbaugh has to work with in San Francisco, because, I mean, like we talked about, they have the weakest division, I mean, obviously. And then playing Carroll again, that's enough motivation alone.
Is he bringing up most of his staff from Stanford?
They don't know yet.
He started making calls.
He supposedly doesn't get along with Vic Fangio, who is the defensive coordinator, right. So he's going to go somewhere else. But he might bring the awesomely named Greg Roman with him, and then there's David.
Is he a relative of yours? Or?
No, sadly, I wish. And then there's David Shaw, who's a Stanford guy who actually might get. I didn't think about this before. Might get promoted to coach. Yeah, he's a young, really impressive black dude who went to Stanford. He was basically the OC this year. He's a good coach.
Why the hell not? Yeah. What do you got to lose? And he's already got the.
I think players will like him. So that could be that. So but to talk about Harbaugh. Everybody said, the Dolphins are offering him so much money, but that was a fuck situation.
It's a horrible situation.
It's so refreshing to see.
He has to move. Yeah. He has to coach in the AFC East, which is a hard division.
He has to go against Belichick and the Jags.
And he has to see his brother all the time.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't have to move houses. He can keep his kids in school. It's a little less money. It's a better team.
I thought this job.
I'm sure he got a city that loves him.
And I'm sure he got personnel, final say over the 53-man roster.
Yeah.
Bauke probably has final say over the 80-man before the cut down. But then the other thing that you have to think about the Niners that nobody seems to be talking about on the radio and stuff is that the Niners have to build a stadium.
Yeah.
Because Candlestick is decrepit and in the ghetto, and nobody wants to have that.
Where do you build a stadium in San Francisco, though? There is
Santa Clara. Which is 45 minutes south. Though. Yeah, but I mean, look at the Cowboys. Arlington is not.
But the part of the mystique of being in a place like San Francisco or Chicago is to be where you
LA.
see. Or
they're already there with that. They passed a measure in Santa Clara that will allow them to do it. They have the land. It's going to be in the parking lot of Six Flags Great America in Santa Clara. And now they need to raise the money because they're in this economic climate. They're not going to get any public money.
They need a quick turnaround and get some excitement behind their program.
They hired Jerry Jones's guys to help them sell the. Personal seat licenses and the skyboxes and stuff. So now they need to win games so that people will buy the tickets.
Yeah. They need the excitement around there that Nolan and Singletary frankly killed. And I don't like Singletary for what he did.
But the Niners, people love the Niners. Everybody remembers Montana and Young and Dwight Clark and Jerry Rice and Roger Craig.
But it's been a while.
Ronnie Lott cutting off his finger to stay in the game. So
what's the last year they were in the playoffs?
90.
Garcia?
Was that the year where Terrell Owens caught the touchdown against the Packers?
That year.
That's my first year in LA.
Yeah,
so 2001?
99.
No, 99. 12 years ago now. So.
Yeah, it was that long ago. That makes me sad.
Yeah. I was, graduating college.
Yeah, 99. I was still in college. And so, we'll see what happens. I think it was the hire they had to make, and if Jed York hadn't gotten him, people would have freaked out about him running the team. Well, and I think it's good that he hung tough. He didn't overpay.
No.
$5 million a year is the right number.
Very reasonable for a guy with that amount of behind him. I thought the two places that were interesting for Harbaugh, Miami was no. Denver, just because you have Elway, who's a Stanford guy. They're the number 3 pick in the draft, so that gives you a little bit, if Luck did come out, gives you a little bit of room to say, make a trade, especially if Luck took a stand and said, I'm not playing.
Then you trade Tebow to San Fran.
And just it felt like a nice West Coast, more his style. Denver traditionally plays the same type of ball.
He seemed to have no interest in that.
He seemed to have no interest in that.
The problem is that Denver, personnel-wise, is fucked. They have their best player is a head case wide receiver, and who knows what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
All apologies to you and your T-boner, they don't have a quarterback really.
I'm a Lions fan. I'm just saying I'm rooting for them.
That position is very much in doubt, and they don't have their defense is terrible.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of pieces there. Josh McDaniels should not have been allowed. He should have been just the coach.
Yeah.
Giving him personnel authority was a mistake.
It was ridiculous.
And now
bringing a strong football operations guy.
And now they have no roster. They got to rebuild basically from scratch.
Have you ever seen, though, and I think it's to your point about them paying him reasonably vis-a-vis the Heat, a coach with that much leverage? I mean, it's been a long time.
Well, and it's weird, too,
it's
because
very refreshing.
When's the last time a coach has come from college and worked in the pros? Jimmy Johnson?
It's rare. It doesn't work that often.
And so
Jimmy Johnson was the last good one.
Ask Bobby Petrino.
People would say Bobby
Nick Saban.
People would say Barry Switzer, but that was actually Jimmy Johnson's team.
Right,
yeah.
and he was only there for 3 years.
Yeah.
Ask Steve Spurrier.
And I think you got to look at it this way: like, there hasn't been a college coach in 17 years that this has worked for. Look, he did have
a lot
the
of those
advantage
guys were defensive guys, though.
Yeah.
Like Saban was a defense guy,
but he has the advantage of it's worked for his brother. He runs a pro-style program. He's coached position-wise, and very well. And
he's also coached, not a head coach, but he has both played and been a quarterbacks coach in the NFL. So it's not like some of these guys had no NFL experience at all.
And it was considered one of the smartest, one of the first guys in the tape room at the day. He really studied the game at that point.
He planned this out really well. I mean, he's flirted with the NFL before. If I recall, he tried out for the Jets before Rex Ryan did. Years ago. It was about to be him.
He wasn't ready yet.
I mean, look at that. He's had his moments where
when everybody thought when the Ravens hired his brother, that was a stupid hire.
Well,
it turned out.
But the irony is, that's the thing. It's in the family from his dad.
Yeah.
Everyone forgets. Okay. Yeah. Legendary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but see, the genius thing for him though is that to go to the NFL now is smart because if he flames out, which could happen, I hope not, but he could.
Yeah.
He can go back and coach Michigan.
Probably,
In a
Unless they find
heartbeat.
somebody
In
amazing.
a heartbeat.
Yeah.
it's all good for Jim Harbaugh.
So he has multiple. This is the best way to protect his career.
Michigan is a safety net.
Yeah.
So sticking with the pro coaches, who does Denver go get?
That's a great question. I really have no idea.
Anybody? I don't even
Whoever.
know.
They said yesterday or early today that they were moving on in their search, basically because they knew the 49ers.
They had an interview set up with Malarkey, and Malarkey did the smart thing and canceled all his interviews.
He's a coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's smart because you got like Weiss went in and accepted a job.
That's so weird.
And it's got a cloud hanging over his playoff run.
I guarantee you that's going to affect that game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
How
think
big
it's
a
a matter
dickhead
of
must
waiting.
Todd Haley be that he's actually just going back to college to take a promotion essentially?
Must be.
Not work for Todd
Must
Haley anymore. I mean, I know he's saying, it's because my son is enrolling in Florida this fall, blah, 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 but Todd Haley must be the worst guy to work for in the world.
Do you think Weiss is trying to plan a run back at the NFL with a run at Florida? Because if he makes whatever Meyer left there a powerhouse and they score 60
The one thing I will say for it is that he won't have any competition for the credit if they do well because Will Muschamp is 1,000% a defensive guy.
Yeah. Right. And then he
Whereas
comes down
with the Chiefs, like Todd Haley's an offensive guy.
Right.
So,
and took a team to the Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator. And
so in Florida, if the offense does well, it will be all of his glory. And I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
I think Denver's looking. They should be looking at the defensive coordinator from the Giants, Newell. I think is his name.
Perry Fewell.
I disagree because look what he did with the Bills.
He's a hot. He's a hot candidate.
He's a hot candidate.
Look, his defense fell apart at the end of the season.
That was also the Bills. And the Bills.
No, he was in the Giants this year.
I know. But when you were saying, look what he did with the Bills.
Right.
He was an interim coach. And it was the Bills, so he's a good defensive coordinator.
I'm not disagreeing with
I think he's a young guy. They need defense to bring in a good offensive coordinator.
Ron Rivera on the Chargers.
I think Ron Rivera is going to Carolina. I think that's the other opening that Ron Rivera just wants a shot. Ron Rivera took a team to the Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator, got fired.
Yes, he did.
So that's my team. How mediocre are we?
So does that mean that the Panthers are going to give up on Jimmy Clausen?
I don't know. It depends if they
Ron
bring it
Rivera is not the coach to bring Jimmy Clausen on.
Well,
yeah, but he's a rookie.
He didn't get a whole lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like Steve Smith isn't quite what he used
Notre
to be
Dame
anymore.
shit doesn't impress me
I agree.
anymore.
I don't know. I just mean that I don't know. I don't have any idea how good an NFL quarterback he could be because he was on a terrible team.
Yeah.
With nobody throwing.
No running game, no receivers, no defense. Does not make for an easy situation.
What about? And I'm just going to try not to laugh too hard as I say this. Marty Morningwig getting brought up as a hot.
Hey, Mike Martz is getting brought up.
I don't know what he did to convince everybody that none of the stink.
It's amazing.
Those
I watched
teams,
every fucking game he coached.
They were bad.
I had a huge fight on Twitter about this.
That's Mike Holmgren being lazy, too lazy to know a younger, better, a more hungry coach, and going back to guys.
If he coaches
we'll take the wind. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Well, Marty Morningwig was
that's really bad.
a Mike Holmgren player in high school. He played for him in high school.
Is he really going to get hired by the Browns?
I hope
he's one of the front runners apparently.
Here's the thing: if the Browns got a young, good coach, they could really turn it around.
I feel bad for the Browns because they have decent building blocks.
Oh, they absolutely
We seriously need like a board with everybody on it because it's just hard to keep up with.
And I actually think a lot of good coaches
would
want to coach Colt McCoy and work for Mike Holmgren. I think that's a good job now. I don't know why.
You got a good running back. You got a question mark for a quarterback, but he's shown potential.
He could be good.
You got some good young players on the team.
Fan base that's desperate. If you do anything,
look at the first half of the season.
They're 9-7. Clevelanders will be thrilled.
The first half of the season,
6-10
first half of the season, they looked like they might contend for a playoff spot, and they were going nuts.
Yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting, and we'll talk about the playoffs and sort of go through all that in a second. But we're going to do a segment that we do like to do every week called the Unsung Sports Bartender Hero of the Week. And this week it's a pretty easy one. A story came out about a homeless man in Cleveland who had some drug problems, who had some other problems in his life, but is now a little bit toast of the town.
Great name,
Ted Williams. Teddy Ballgame. The golden voice of Teddy Williams. We got a clip on him that we're going to show, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about the story.
Hey, we're going to make you work for your dollar. Say something with that great radio voice.
When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies, you're listening to Magic 98.9. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. And we'll be back with more right after these words. And don't forget, tomorrow morning is your chance to win a pair of tickets to see this man live in concert. Thank you so much. Well, when I was 14 years old, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. When I was 14, I kind of listened to one of our area radio announcers. And I went as a field trip to go meet the guy, and he looked nothing like what he sounded like. So I asked him about that, and he said to me, listen, radio is defined theater of mind. And so when he said theater of mind, I just said, well, hey, I can't be an actor, I can't be an on-air personality, but the voice just became something of a development over years, and I went to school for it. And then alcohol and drugs and a few other things became a part of my life. And I got 2 years clean, and I'm trying hard to...
So yes, that is Ted Williams. Big story, I'm sure everybody heard about it. Homeless, had drug problems, was found on the street. Cavaliers offered him a job. He just did voiceover work for Kraft Macaroni and Cheese.
MSNBC hired him. The NFL Networks was going after him, and he was offered a film role as a DJ, all within the span of like a week.
Is this a good story? It's sort of crazy how quick this is happening.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
They say when it rains, it pours. So I guess in this case, it's a good rain.
As long as it doesn't relapse, it's a good story.
Yeah, it is. It's a great story, and I think that from the start of it, it was all about the Cavs giving him. Is when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
And the Cavs gave him the first opportunity, and I really commend Dan Gilbert for kind of making a turnaround for his team and his fans to say, look, we're not going to go in the negative route anymore. Let me give you a positive story to show you what we're kind of all about.
Well, it's a perfect situation for them. They're in an economically depressed area of the country.
Very much
it's
so.
A homeless guy. Offer him a job. It's a heartwarming story. It's a local guy. I mean, I know Columbus isn't Cleveland, but it's close.
Right.
Look, the question is, and we talked about the New York Daily News article today, will the woman who raised his 4 children plus his one love child, while he went homeless off on drugs, get a share of any of this money?
Please stand up.
I hope so.
He hadn't
Who's
seen
also half blind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He hadn't seen his mother in a long, long time, and was making a mental.
Yeah, but I mean, this is what happens with drug addicts. I know, it's tough.
Yeah.
This is what happens. You forget everything except for
the drug.
The need.
Yeah. So I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that now that he's having some success that he does.
And he's been clean for 2 years, but
Yeah.
like you said when we first started, let's hope it continues and doesn't.
Yes.
Now that he's back on his feet, doesn't relapse. That was one of the first things that my fiance said when we heard the story. Like, that's a lot of stuff to come at a guy.
Yeah.
Really fast. And
I hope he has people around him that have his best interests at heart too.
I highly
Do you
doubt
really
it,
think that?
Yeah,
No,
with Ryan.
but I hope that he finds some.
Yeah, but so to Ted Williams, we're gonna give you a quick cheers.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah, man.
mine is non-alcoholic in your honor.
Congratulations.
No,
Congratulations.
That's in the Bears' honor.
Yeah. Keep your head up and keep doing the right thing, my man.
Keep your head down.
Yeah, keep your nose clean, as my mom used to say, literally and figuratively. So let's move on to the NFL playoff preview. Now it matters. Now it counts. Now it's real. It's awesome. It's on. It's cracking. What are your thoughts going in?
Seahawks are terrible.
Yep.
How did they make it?
Somebody had to go from the NFC West, and the Rams played bad in that game.
Yeah.
And they blew it. Because the Rams could have gone with 8-8, and it would have been
a little more respectable.
A more respectable looking deal.
And who doesn't want to see probably the Rookie of the Year and make a playoff this first season?
Bullshit.
So, nobody. I think the line on that game is the Saints are
10.5.
10.5.
Yep.